Alright, I want to make this part quick for any of those who are out of the loop, and by out of the loop I mean have somehow missed my past 3 videos. Go down below and click the link and go follow my Twitter page if you are a follower or supporter of this channel. With that being said, let's start this one. Alright, so it does feel good to be back, I'm not gonna lie. And now, today I want to touch on a topic that I've been wanting to talk about for a couple months now. Now this is a big topic. This is a topic that Tony Robbins and other self-help gurus have created billion-dollar seminars about. It's this one thing that can make or break the entrepreneur. You see, there's a constant battle between light and darkness. There's a constant battle between humans and nature, yada yada. This balance and yin-yang to life. We understand it. Now, we also understand there's the law of polarity. However, we're not getting into that in this video. But just know that just as you will have your successes, you will have your failures. The problems will always try to overtake the individual. Now, it's up to the individual to overtake the problems. You see, if your problems are overtaking you, you're losing the battle, my friend. You see, you have to take over those. And what am I talking about? It's this one thing that's going to make or break everything. And you don't need anything else to be able to do this. And it is growing bigger than your problems. As simple as it is, nobody wants to do it. Now, there's one thing that can keep us back from growing bigger than our problems, and that is victimhood. You have to let go of victimhood and start taking on responsibility. And I know a lot of people nitpick victimhood around and they want to make everything politically correct. Start taking responsibility. Who cares about what? When something's going on, I'm just glad. It's more satisfying to get it done myself than to rely on somebody else, in my opinion. But everybody gets so caught up in this, and victimhood becomes their identity, and so it's hard to change because it's like trying to change your identity. It's not a very easy task, and so when you're trying to get rid of victimhood, you can almost feel like you're losing part of yourself. And then it doesn't go through and you're back to square one. However, there's an easy way to get out of this, especially for you stubborn people who don't want to give up victimhood. And this is looking at your problems as the opportunity. I've touched upon this in multiple other videos. However, in this, not only touching on them as opportunities, you need to grow bigger than them. You need to tackle them. Now, there's some things in your life that are holding you back from tackling them, and that's the hard part, giving up to be able to do those things. And you know what those things are. And it is until you do them. You'll hear stories from people about taking certain sacrifices and it'll change their lives. They will grow bigger than their problems. See, this is the thing that will make or break the entrepreneur. You see, all the little things are important, but if you do this one thing, you'll make it through life way faster than anybody else. Now, adding on everything else, such as, being on your purpose and that, but there's also a lot of people who aren't on their purpose, making a lot of money, who are still happy. What's happening with that? Well, they're constantly growing bigger than their problems. They're at a perpetual balance with boundaries, with limitations. They know how to employ discipline and look for opportunity in the bad things. You see, I'm not asking for you to look at bad things as a great thing, but to tackle on them and get a hold of them. If your yard looks like shit, the city's going to come by and leave a note telling you need to cut it or you're going to get fined. I wish the same would happen for, certain people, because some people just don't get it. Some people will let the grass grow until their house is consumed with ivy. But a lot of this is all easier said than done. See, what you have to do is, number one, you have to stop stressing about the problem. It's so hard to tackle a problem when all you're doing is, number one, worrying about it, stressing about it, and nonstop thinking about the problem. And then you're also looking at it in the perspective of it being a problem. Look at it without judgment, as I've said. Look at it as the situation that it is. Something you need to grow bigger than to overcome. Because that's what a lot of problems are. You'll notice they're requiring us to reach the next stage, whatever that may be. Look at the problems that you have in your life and reflect on them. As we've talked about in this channel, as above, so below, the law of correspondence, as within, so without. As things that happen out here are but a reflection of what is within. And so these problems that are happening, as you're overcoming them, you'll start to realize symbolically what they are within you, because you will also see the change. You see, some people want to be happy, right? But that takes sacrifice. You have to give up anger. And if you've made anger your self-identity, that can become a hard challenge. And this is also really hard to do while you're trying to grow bigger than the problem you're tackling. You see, some people try to tackle the problem while they're this small. You have to grow bigger. You have to expand. It's that whole quantum jumping that Bob Proctor will talk about. Tony Robbins will talk about this, about taking massive action, making massive change. You see, for some people, they get a lot of good results just by doing these crazy changes, and it's something that I've been a fan of. It's kind of a turn on. It's basically what you do. It's really hard to do because only some people kind of do it, and it is a off the spur moment. It's where you wake up and you're like, I need to do this. But the difference is you do it. And it is a big change and it's instantaneous, but let me tell you, everything afterwards, depending on what you did, you'll start to realize the deeper significance of that problem or whatever was going on. You see, as we were talking about earlier in the video about victimhood, if you're constantly in the mindset of victimhood, you are taking your problems as a part of yourself, as your own identity. And so, of course, you'll never get over those problems as long as you're identifying with the problem, which is another word for victimhood. And so victimhood is seriously a problem. People think it is the Illuminati's fault. It is the government's fault. It is their boss's fault. It's the management's fault. It's the landlord's fault. It's my parents' fault. It's my siblings' fault. It's the school system. It's the politics. It's everything but themselves. And the people that are successful, their only rule and reason for why they aren't successing is themselves. That's the difference. And so let go of the victimhood, start taking the responsibility, even though it may be hard and shit's not working right now. And it sucks, but let me tell you, dude, once you get over that, it feels so damn good. But seriously, growing bigger than your problems is probably one of the most important lessons you could get out of this channel, other than a couple. And see, here's the thing. Once you grow bigger than your problem, it's not like the problems are going to go away. See, there's going to be another bigger problem, and then another bigger problem. And so it's a constant battle between both polarities, you see. It's like when the banks come out with new types of ATM and new types of, different things that keep people from breaking into shit. And then there's always that hacker that breaks the code. There's the person that makes the code, and then the person that breaks the code. And they make a stronger code, and then they break the code. And it's back and forth. And so the individual will be in constant battle with problems. And you will lose the battle to the problems if you're not growing to become bigger than it. You see, you're not really meant to get rid of problems, because you do need both sides. Because without both sides, there is no life. There is no flow in life. You can't positive without negative, up without down, left without right. And so you do need those problems, and they do need to stay in balance. And so while a lot of people want to get rid of their problems, this is not the way to go. You're going to have bigger problems. You're going to have big boy or big girl problems, but you're still always going to have problems. And so the big question is, do you want to be broke, have nothing, and have problems, or do you want to be able to spend most of your time doing whatever you want and still having problems? Because you're still going to have problems either way. You cannot get rid of that. All life is suffering. And so your problems, you need to realize that they aren't necessarily bad things, but they are the next ladder ring for you to pull up, because it's those people that pull up that end up rising above. Those people that you don't see for 6 months to a couple of years, and you don't know how the hell they got to where they are. Those people grew bigger than their problems. You take that boost. It's like in Mario Kart when you take the mushroom. When you grow bigger than the problem, you take the mushroom and you boost off. And so, number one, get rid of the victimhood. Seriously. You'll spend your whole life identifying with it. You're going to spend your entire life just getting nothing but the problems that come with it. And no, and I'm not talking about certain movements, because I don't stay in social media, and I know some people are like, I'm behind this movement or that movement. I'm not arguing those. I'm talking about victimhood, when you blame something on how it's not you that is making you unsuccessful, it's them. I've got to pay bills, I've got to do this. Everybody has to do that, but how come those other people can make it but you can't? They're like, oh, they're lucky or they're privileged. And we all have 24 hours a day. We all have 24 hours a day. Nothing can change that. You can't give me more, I can't take less from him. It's not possible. There's no other reason for you not being successful other than yourself. And until you get this lesson and you really do internalize it and understand, and you realize, like, yes, this is my life, my responsibility, and I got this shit, that's when shit flies off. And that's when you can start growing bigger than your problems. You got fined a lot of money this year, instead of getting a tax return. And instead of, playing the victim and not paying it off and being like, well, it's their fault, and slowly doing it, and then just digging yourself a deeper hole so that you can complain more about how you don't have money, start paying that shit off and get to where you want to go. Figure out your purpose and make money from that so that you don't have to deal with all these other problems you have. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody's working at a job they don't like to get rid of their problems, rather than doing something that they like that could also get rid of their problems. And so some people were like, well, Hayden, what's my purpose? I don't know your name. You hit me up and you're like Psycho Boy 098 or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I tried going to your channel. You don't have any videos. I don't know what you're doing. Now, number one, I know there are people that do give me a spiel. And I do have some ideas, but it's not for me to say. Your purpose is what you make it. See, a lot of people try to find their purpose so hard. They try to be so analytical about it, and they miss it. It's why I've said sometimes you just need to let it go and wait for it to come to you. I said that, I don't know in which video. It was in the past 10, I know that. But it's best to just let go of it and let it come to you if you can't figure it out. Some people try to pick it apart so much. Your purpose is really what you make it, and you can change it along the way. As you've seen, this channel's changed, and I don't know if you've been with me the whole way, but I have also changed as well, I feel like. And so, change is what happens when you do grow bigger than your problems, and you will reap the rewards. But as long as you don't hold the mindset that I've been talking about in this video, and you don't grow bigger than your problems, and you don't tackle the weeds in your own garden, then you're screwed. You will lose. I'm not kidding. Either way, this is getting really ranty. I'm just excited to be back. Really happy to be doing this. Either way, if you haven't seen my last video, whoosh, and if you haven't seen my last video, whoop-ah. Either way, click right here to subscribe, and make sure you click the bell because YouTube doesn't send out notifications. And also a reminder, if you're a fan of this channel, go to the link down below and follow me on Twitter, because that will be the social media page specifically for you guys. I will for you all to prosper and have a great day.